Hi, what's up, y'all? My name is Tiffany Galleria. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're going to want to hit that subscribe and tap into all of the fun. We're doing a giveaway at 500 subscribers and we're almost there. So please help me out. Help me out. Click that button. This is life update number 3. This is the end of our 3-part life update series. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my new car. Finally got a new car. Well, it's not a brand new car, it's a used car. It's a 2021, but nonetheless, I've had my last car since 2014. So yeah, I've had my last car for 10 years. It was 2 when I got her, and I was so sad to see her go. Like, I traded her in, and when they skirted off in her old dusty self, I was like, my baby. I'm so happy with the purchase that I made with this car and my my new vehicle. So it's a 2021 Mercedes-Benz A220. It's on the smaller side. It's a small sedan, and that works for me. I was driving in the coupe for 10 years, so I don't need no big old car. But one day I will get a truck. One day I will be in a Range Rover. Let's revisit this video in 10 years. But anyway, so I'm gonna give you guys like a car tour. I'm gonna show you like what my car looks like, and how I set up my phone, like connect my phone to Bluetooth and everything. I can show you the Apple CarPlay, but it's really just, you know, plugging in the USB-C cord because it has its own Apple CarPlay port. So that's really all it is. So when I bought the car, they did give me a like the mats that they had. I guess whoever owned the car before me, they had like these red Mercedes mats in the car, and they didn't know if I wanted to use them or not, so they put them in the trunk for me to keep. I am not going to be using them because I don't like red. But hey, I'm gonna take those up with me. And then also, like, they have back here, so I can take those off, but I've just left it for now. Oh, I just noticed that I haven't shown like the back seat. Yeah, so this is how it looks in the back. And I think like, oh yeah, so there's like a plug right here, a cord. And I feel like this does something too. But I don't know. Who's calling? And it had the child locks on. I had to take them off because you cannot get out of the back seat. Hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
change lights to green.
Okay, I'm changing the color.
I'm just gonna connect my phone on AirPlay for you guys. And it just mirrors my phone. So if I put in some directions or play some music or anything, it's all gonna be up here. I really love the car. It drives so well. It's so like sleek. My last car was black, so I was really set on getting a black car and just staying in that family. But this is what's going to lead me into my car buying experience. So I do want to share a little bit about that. So I did not want a car that had a bunch of miles on it. I got my last car at like 42 or 44k miles, and I wanted it to be like even less than that if I could. So I was really focused on getting a really low mileage car, and I wanted it to be like 2020 and up. Like I was okay with the 2020, but I wanted it to be from this decade. So that I would feel like I'm in some type of upgrade, okay? Personally, my old car was a 2012. It didn't have any of these new features that these cars have now. So I had to have a backup camera. I had to have heated seats. I had to have leather seats. I had to have, well, I had a sunroof in my last car, but I was like, I have to have a sunroof again just because, like, you never know if you want to use the sunroof. So that there was like just some features that were my non-negotiables. Like I had to make sure that when I get back to paying a car payment again, because I haven't paid a car payment in years, that when I'm paying for this car, it's going to be exactly what I want, like to the T what I want. Like I'm not getting the car if there's anything that I want that it doesn't have. So I really wanted to get either a Mercedes or a Range Rover. I didn't really think a Range Rover was realistic for me, not because of the payments, but because of how everybody talks about Range Rovers, like how they're pretty much in the shop more than you're driving it on the road. And I'm not paying all that money for my car to always be at the shop or parked because something's going on with it. Like I need to be able to get in my car and go. And I had a Range Rover Sport rental for my birthday, I think my 29th birthday in Atlanta, and I was so in love with that car. It was the first time I ever drove a Range Rover. It was a big body. Like Tashani was like, we in a school bus. It was a big body, and it just like, I just loved it. It was my vibe, and one day we will be in one, but not right now. I'm gonna get a Mercedes. And I didn't really have like a preference as far as which model, so it didn't really matter to me. What mattered to me was how much my payment was going to be and whether or not the car was going to come with all my non-negotiables. So I'm someone who does like a lot of research on cars now, because this is my third car I ever bought. The first car I bought, I didn't really do any research, and I feel like I got fucked with my loan. Like I feel like, because I was just going in not knowing what I was supposed to do, and I was paying a lot more for that car than what I should have. And it got totaled like 2 years in anyway, so it was just like whatever. But then I had got my Honda, which was the car that I had for the 10 years, and immaculate deal, immaculate. Like I feel like I was paying the correct price for that vehicle. So I was trying to ensure that that's what I'm doing again with this car. If anything, learning more as you go, you know. And so I had got a really good deal on my Honda with my credit union. So I was pressed to get into a credit union here when I moved back here so that I can get a deal with them, because typically their rates are lower. But I had went through them. Their interest rate was a bit high in my opinion, but I'm like, okay, if this is what the credit union is offering, then I don't know like what I could get elsewhere. But I was still open to see. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I had found a car. It was a black 2020 Mercedes-Benz A220, and it was at CarMax in Laurel. Don't ever go to CarMax in Laurel. Don't ever go to CarMax in Laurel. And whoever bought that car, because I definitely checked, and whoever bought that car, I'm so sorry. I test drove, okay, the lights are off. I test drove that car twice, and each time I got in the car and drove it, I found a new issue. So the first time I drove it, I just drove it around. My mom was visiting me, so I just drove it around with my mom. But the AC wouldn't come on. So I don't think I talked about this in my previous vlogs, but in my Honda, the AC had went out. And I was like, listen, I'm not trying to pay a lot of money to fix this AC because I'm trying to be out the door with this car. Like, there were other issues that were happening and I just didn't want to pay for those things when I could have just put that money into my new car payment and my new car insurance rate, because you know your car insurance rate is going to go up when you like get a newer car and everything. And just everything else I have to pay for. I'm like, no, like that, I'd rather that money go towards my, you know, ongoing than fixing what I got right now. And just like, I don't know, it had to go. So anyway, that was one of the first things I checked was the AC, and we rode around for a minute and that AC ain't never get cold. And I was like, nope, they need to check the AC and figure out what's going on with that. Why is it no AC? We get back, the salesman acting like he has no idea that the AC is out. I don't think the people have ever even like paid any mind to the car. I think they got the car, sat it back there, posted it on their website, and they were just waiting for somebody to buy it, and that was it. And they didn't do their due diligence, and I didn't appreciate that. I had an appointment to be there. They were acting like they didn't know who I was supposed to have an appointment with, and yet they could find my name in their system for my appointment time. It was just like, I just went through a lot at that dealership. Like, the salesperson acted like he could give a fuck about anything that I had to say. Even when I was trying to do my trade-in value, I have like paperwork from stuff that I got done in my car, and I wanted all of that shit to be accounted for. And apparently, this is my first time doing a trade-in, so I don't know like how it goes, but apparently, you know, that type of stuff doesn't matter. What matters is like just what's on their paper. That's just all they want to see. That's all they want to know, and that's what determines their price. And I feel like they really lowballed me. And I'm like, I mean, I know the car is old, I know the car has a lot of miles, I know the car has a few issues, but they didn't know that the car had a few issues because they didn't check all of that. It wasn't even on their sheet. So I just feel like I was supposed to get more money than that. And when I spoke up for myself, it was like energy shift. Like, they were all like, what? Like, you really like want to question what we're offering you? Like, this is what we're offering you. And I'm like, yeah, I want to question it because I want to get the bang for my buck. I want to get the most money I can get. I've had this car for a long time and I've taken care of it for a long time, up until this point where I didn't feel like putting the money into it anymore. I wanted to just get something else. So yeah, I want my bread. What do you mean? So yeah, that was just like, it was all just like, ugh. So we ended up leaving anyway because the AC wasn't done, and they said that they were going to take a look at it. But from there, it was like I was constantly following up with them. I had to check in with them, like, what's going on with the car? Did they tell you what the issue was with the AC, this and that? And eventually they tried to, like, I guess pour some stuff in there, and it wasn't that. It was, they had to replace something. I can't remember the name of it, but they had to replace something. And they had to order it. And I guess Mercedes parts take a while when you order it. So they were like, you know, when it comes back in and they get it put back together or whatever, we'll give you a call. We'll let you know. So you can come back in and test drive it, this and that. They didn't do that. I was still following up with them. Like, what's going on with the car? Is the piece in? Did they do the work? Like, I need some type of timeline because I was interested in buying that car. So eventually we get back to the dealership and they claim the AC is fixed, and now we're talking numbers because I'm like in the process of buying this car. So we're going over the numbers and this and that. That's cool. But I needed to test drive the car again, obviously, to check the AC, to check everything before I sign on that line and say, yeah, I'm leaving with this car. So we drove the car, and the guy who I was assigned to a new salesman because I went off about my old salesman, and the new salesman was really nice, but he still was not like keeping in contact with me and doing everything that I needed him to do. Like, I don't know if it was just that dealership or if that's just like salesmen now. Like, it don't seem like they hungry like they was back in the day. Like, back in the day, you go visit somebody's lot one time, they want your number, they want your email, they want everything, and they're blowing you up, okay? Like, they want you to come back and make a purchase. If not on the car that you looked at, another one. They got something for you. They, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it used to be. And this time it was kind of just like whatever type of thing, and I didn't appreciate that. I didn't like that. Like, that's not the vibe I want when I'm making a purchase, like a vehicle that I intend to keep for years. So yeah, it was just like, what? So anyway, he came with us because I was like, no, I want you to come with us because I don't want to have to come back from the test drive and explain to you guys like what I'm experiencing on the ride. Like, I shouldn't have to do that. Y'all should know what's going on with the car, and y'all should be checking for these things, and clearly you're not. So I want you to be in here to hear what we hear and to see what we see with the vehicle. Okay, cool. So he comes with us. This is when I found out that the car does not have ambient lighting. And it wasn't a must for me, but Brittany had told me that the 220s come with the ambient lighting, and she had like showed me pictures and videos and stuff. You could change it to however many colors, and I'm like, it was a feature I was looking forward to, but it wasn't a must. And I found out that that particular car didn't have the ambient lighting, and so that was already a turn off for me, because I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that I could, you know, this is gonna have everything that I wanted, even though that wasn't one of my non-negotiables. It was turning into one of my non-negotiables because I just wanted the lights. Like, come on, it's just giving me advancement and luxury and upgrade, what I deserve after keeping the same car for 10 years. I want everything new, okay? Period. So yeah, so that was a little disheartening, but I was still willing to work with it because it was hard for me to find a car that had low mileage in all of my non-negotiables. Like, it just wasn't that easy. So I'm like, okay, like, as long as they're fixing everything on this car, like, I guess I'm gonna go with this. So anyway, we're test driving it. We're on the highway, and the brakes are sounding crazy when you brake. Like, I'm like, why is, I feel like it's not supposed to sound like that. And he's like, oh, well, you know, Mercedes have the assisted braking, they have the ABS system because they rather, like, you know, slam on the brakes or you do whatever you got to do to stop because it's really expensive to fix the car. I'm like, I ain't trying to hear none of that. Like, the brakes are not supposed to sound like this. So I don't know what you want to do about it. If you want to switch and you drive and feel it and hear it or whatever you got to do, but I'm not buying the car with the brakes sounding like this. So we pulled over and switched, and he drove, and he was like braking and feeling it, and he was still talking about this assisted brake stuff. And I'm like, sir, the brakes not supposed to sound like this. Like, now we're in a whole nother issue. So he took it back. He said that he was going to have somebody look at the brakes, this and that. So I'm like, okay, this is delaying me even more, because at this point, I'm just feeling like my Honda's falling apart and I just want to get rid of it and be in another car. And it's just like more and more time is being wasted because I come up here, y'all not prepared for me each time I come up here. And it's a new issue each time I drive the car. So I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to go with them, because when we come back up here and test drive it again, is there going to be another issue? Like, no. And I was talking to a lot of people about it, and some people are like, you know, well, as long as they're fixing everything that's wrong with it and it's not going to be your responsibility when you leave, cool. I mean, hear them out, see what they're going to do. See if they're going to do anything for that price, because look at everything that you're going through. But then some of my people was like, why are you even still looking at that car? Like, clearly that's not a car that you need to be in, and it shouldn't be that difficult. There shouldn't be these many things going wrong with the car. So I'm confused, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. But again, it's very hard to find exactly what I want. And I'm glad that they pissed me off so bad with their, you know, no communication, not providing me updates, not like keeping in touch with me and telling me anything about what's going on with the car, that I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to have to like visit another car, even if it doesn't have exactly everything that I want. So I was looking at this other car, which was this car, a 2021, and it's white. Never had a white car. I've had gray and I've had black. So I was like, I don't really want white. White, you got to keep clean. Any little thing on there is just like, oh, that has to go. And I don't know. I just didn't want white. I did at first before I actually started car shopping. I wanted white, but then when I rolled in the black one, I was like, see, this is why I like black cars. Like, I need it to be black. So I was like, okay, that's just gonna have to go out the window. As long as it literally has everything else on my list, we're in the white car. And it had the ambient lights. So I was like, I think this is the car that I need to be in. So I literally just in one day called them up, asked them if they still had it. They said they did. I told them, like, you know, around what time I get off and around what time I could be there. So if you could have somebody there with the car ready for me to see it, I would appreciate it, because I will, you know, consider buying this car if everything's right. And they were like, yeah, it's no problem, this and that. Like, they were so cool. Like, they didn't understand, like, what I was going through at the other dealership. Because I was like, yeah, at the other dealership, they were like this and that. They didn't handle this and that. And they were just looking at me like, oh, that's not how we do things here. So I'm like, okay, cool. And the name of that dealership that I actually got it from was, I think, like Heritage Chrysler Jeep in, I want to say, Owings Mills. I think that's where I got the car from. It wasn't from a Mercedes-Benz dealer. But they were really nice. And when I got there, the car was parked right up front. And I was like, I think that's the car. And I went in. people like approached me and acknowledged me when I walked in. Complete different, you know, interaction that I had from CarMax. And the owner was there, who was actually who I talked to when I called. So he was like, oh yeah, I talked to you earlier, you know, I got so and so here, he's gonna show you the car, blah blah blah. So I'm so sorry, I don't remember the salesman's name, but we went to his desk and he had everything for me. He had the Carfax. He had the Maryland State inspection. He had like all the forms and stuff that I was going to ask for that it was not so easy to get at CarMax. I asked him like, when was the last oil change? When was the brakes change? When was this and that? Like, he had paperwork on everything that I was asking about. So I like that. And he was able to pull up in the system things that he didn't have right there or whatever and print it out for me. He just was very attentive and very thorough. I went over like everything that I wanted, and he, you know, explained that he felt like this was going to be a good fit for me or whatever. So after we talked about all of that, we went out and we got in the car, and the first thing I did was turn on them lights. That man was like, I know he was so confused, like, girl, you need to worry about how we drive this and that. I'm like, oh, we're going to get to that. But that was the one thing that the other car didn't have, that this one does. So I'm just like, let me see what's going on with it. To the point where the man was playing with the colors when I was driving around. Okay, like, it was a vibe. I was driving around and the man was changing the colors. Like, that's a selling feature. Like, it's just so nice, especially at night when it's dark and your lights are on. It just gives you an experience while you're driving. It just became one of my non-negotiables, and they had it. They had everything. They have the heated seats. They have the sunroof. They have the leather seats. They have the backup camera. I mean, these are all pretty basic features in cars now, but they're all features that I did not have in my old car. So I was like, I have to upgrade to all of these things, and I just want as much luxury and as much of an experience that I can get, especially for it being a Mercedes. Like, I was not getting the Mercedes experience at CarMax Laurel. I was not. And even though where I bought my car from was not a Mercedes dealer, I definitely was getting the Mercedes experience. Like, everything was so good. Like, they had water, I'm pretty sure they probably had like wine or something there. I don't know. They didn't offer me no wine. It was late. I was ready to go. You know, car buying is a long process. But anyway, even when we came back, he was showing me like all these things you can add on, like this stuff that they can put on it for your paint, and you know, the warranties that they have, and all these different things that you can add on. They showing me all of that, because after I finished with him, I have to go to the finance guy. So I had to call my insurance company and tell them about the car that I was getting. I was already in conversation with them because I was letting them know that I'm going to get another car. And I didn't want it to be like a super long process when I call them and they have no idea that I'm switching this and that. So they were already like in the know, but they thought I was going to get the other car. But because of all the issues, and I decided not to go with them, they had no idea that I was just going to go into this dealership this day and buy the car all in one day. I didn't know I was going to buy the car that day either. I thought I was just going to see the car and like come back home and think about it. But it was like, what is there to think about? It's giving no brainer. You need a car, it has everything that you need, and you didn't find no issues. I didn't find no issues with how it drove. I ain't find no issues with the brakes. I ain't find no issues with the AC. I ain't find no issues with none of these like electrical features, and just everything. Everything was just everything. And I was like, listen, this is the car that I'm gonna get. This is the car for me, it's mine. So I had went to the finance guy. I don't remember his name either, but he was really nice. I know he was probably like, this girl got an attitude, because it was late and I had to go, and it was just like he had a whole presentation and stuff, and his office was very high tech. He had like, you can like write on, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just a lot going on. And I was like, listen, we gotta talk about this money because I did do a trade-in and I did put money down, and I wanted to know, okay, with what's left, what can you do for me? So I told him like about the rate that my credit union was trying to offer me and like the payments and everything, and he told me that he agreed. He felt like it was a bit high. He was like, you know, for your credit score, I don't feel like that should be your rate. I don't feel like that should be your rate. He was like, I'm going to, you know, with your permission, I'm going to check around and see what I can get for you that can be like a little bit lower if you're up to that. I'm like, duh, saving money. So that was that. And he did end up finding me a lower rate. I think like 3% lower than what I had, 3 or 4% lower than what I had. So I was like, works for me. And he actually got my monthly payment amount. Oh, good, it stopped. He actually got my monthly payment amount down to where I wanted to be. I was happy. I'm really happy with like the experience that I had there. And I would go back there and buy another car. Like, I feel completely confident in them buying another car from them. It was a great car buying experience. It was a complete 360 from CarMax. Like I will never never. So, in my opinion, they now done ruined it for all the CarMaxes. Like, I'm not going to any CarMax at this point. And I know people who have bought cars from CarMax. So I didn't think that I was going to have that much of a crazy experience. I didn't think I was going to have a bad experience, but it was horrible. And I can't trust, like, what I'm going to be driving in every day, what I need to get to work, you know, what I need to get home, all of that. I can't entrust that in them. So I'm good on CarMax for life at this point. And I say all of this to say, I tell you about my car buying experience to say, do not settle for anything less than what you absolutely desire, period, because it's you and your pockets that's paying for this. So you want everything to be at its best and just what you want. Like, I think that I encourage you to create a list of non-negotiables of what you want in a vehicle, down to mileage, down to style, down to features, all of that, because it's easier for you when you're searching online and when you visit dealerships to see, like, okay, should I be considering this car? Does it have everything that I want? And then pay attention to the customer service and how you're being treated at the dealership. Like, do not spend your money somewhere where the people are acting like they don't need it or they don't want it. You know, don't do that. Why are you gonna put money in their pockets when they drop the ball like that? Like, that was ridiculous. And you know, I'm just so thankful to everybody at Heritage Chrysler Jeep, I think, in Owens Mills, because y'all really did it. Y'all did y'all big one. Y'all hooked it up all in one day. I did have to go back there because they ordered my plates. So I went back later on and got my plates put on from them. So that was good. And that was it. And they had my registration for me when I came back for my plates. So I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't have to do any of that paperwork at the DMV or nothing like that. Like, it's all good. My insurance cards came in the mail. So everything is finished with that. And it's just, we're here. And it's just, like, amazing. I really hope y'all like this video. And I really hope y'all like my car. Make sure y'all leave me a comment below and tell me what you think. Put me on to some tips if you know anything about Mercedes, that, because I don't know all the features that's going on here. I just need to make sure that my phone was connected, okay? I really appreciate y'all so much. And yeah, it's Tiffany Galleria. Where's my key? I forgot to tell y'all that I did name my car. I named her Baby Spice because, duh, she's giving Spice Girl, not to be confused with Ice Spice.